All right, thank you so much for staying with Daybreak. The conversation still continues even during the break. Senator Mwaura, I want to bring you in on this issue of the rotational presidency. What is your position on that? Are you for it or against it?
Thank you very much. I think just before I comment on that, I want to answer my brother Otiende Amolo and to tell him that let us not pretend the fact that political parties just nominate it's one individual, not unless you are confessing that political parties are undemocratic. Because when you are nominated to parliament, it's because of a criteria. We are the ones who put those positions in the constitution, because prior to that, they were not being done so. The IPPG in 1997 made sure that they are shared amongst political parties. And further to that, Dr. Otiende Amolo, the names are published prior to the elections, 45 days actually, so that when people elect, they know that if we elect a certain political party, then Isaac Mwaura stands to benefit. And further to that, I myself, for example, in the Jubilee Party, I participated in the presidential elections, mobilizing people in the 10 Mount Kenya regions. I attended over 600 meetings. Even my car got finished, destroyed completely because of that. So this notion, the fact that there is a master somewhere and some slaves somewhere who then benefit from their benevolence, it's an abuse of that notion. It benefits the party to have the likes of Isaac Mwaura in their party lists. If that were not to be the case, then they would have as well put their relatives. I mean, let's not try to belittle the contributions of people who are marginalized simply because of the idea of tokenism. And that is actually why we are saying, going forward, that political parties, if there are such positions, which I have fought very hard to ensure that they are retained within the BBI draft because it had been left, it is based on total number of votes garnered. So I think let me leave it at that. Let me come to the issue of rotation of presidency. Now, Trevor, I have been having a problem personally about the issue of fair chance to everybody. And I have said, and I would want to say without fear of doubt, that insofar as leaders are imposed upon the people through a manipulation of the electoral system, like it happens in Luo Nyanza, in ODM, and Otiende Amolo is a beneficiary, and appointment to various public positions, the true will of the people will never prevail. This is a sad reality and the failure of democracy. What we are hearing now is a narrative that because you come from a certain tribe, you should not qualify. Now, look at our tribal arithmetic. The so-called ethnopolitical derivatives of the Gema, Luya, Kalenjin, Kamba, and Luo constitute 67% of this republic. So when you talk about rotational presidency, it is actually being very sly, because you're also not telling us an Enel Molo should be the presidential candidate of ODM. You're simply saying that this should be dominated by the 5 tribes. And that is why you see the BBI is creating 5 positions to be dominated by the tribes that always contribute the presidential candidates. Look, from 1992, you know, there were 7 of them. Most of them were from these main tribes. In fact, majority of the people who ran for president are from the Kikuyu tribe. In the last election, out of 8, there were 4. You know, I've been doing the tallying. So Dr. Otiende Amolo and Sifuna, I would want to say that let us not have, let us not twist this conversation, because I even saw it somewhere saying that now that it's a rotation, the first person we should start with is Raila Odinga. I mean, honestly, sincerely, if that assertion of fair chance is true, it means it should be so true that it doesn't matter which tribe you come from. That you cannot say, for example, that because a certain Kikuyu has been president, all other Kikuyus now should wait in queue. No, that's not true. If we also go by your own assertion, I know you're speaking from both ends of your mouth, and that's what is surprising me. Because you are trying to say that you are principled, and yet actually it is failing. Look at the issue of saying, for example, that people should have an opportunity to vie for the presidency because of tribe. Are you trying to tell me today, if today you had a Luo candidate for president, it will also be the poorest person? That person will be the most deserving? I mean, let us have a conversation. In terms of merit, you have actually tried to deconstruct William Ruto by saying he's not qualified. But at the same time, you're also going ahead and saying that the most important qualification of any presidential candidate is a tribe. Are you actually not contradicting yourself? And further to it, I mean, when we talk about political association, you cannot say that you can be deemed to have associated with another political party, and so therefore you should vacate office. If that is the case, then the leader of opposition should also decline being the leader of official opposition, because we have seen, for example, in the Senate, whereby seats have been shared by the opposition that would otherwise, if you had to go by the majority of members and what have you, they would have gone to the Jubilee Party members. So you come into a Jubilee, you create confusion, there is the handshake, the BBI now, as we speak, is extremely unpopular, right? Then you turn around and you start saying that then, now it's a tribal conversation. I mean, I thought for a very long time, ODM stood for, when I used to be a member, it used to stand for nationalism. It used to say that we must look at each other despite where we come from. What has changed right now? So basically, Trevor, what I'm trying to say in short is that we are having very dishonest and hypocritical politics, where you shift your argument based on what suits you at the moment. And by the way, we may argue here until the cows come home, but the truth of the matter is that William Ruto is a man of the moment. He's a man who is connecting with the poorest of the poor. Indeed, he started as a chicken seller. Margaret Wanjiru actually used to sell earrings along Aga Khan Walk. She started as a street preacher. Those are the kind of people who understand the people's problem, and I believe they should be given a chance to rule this country.
All right, Otiende, that was direct to you, so I'll let you respond.
I am not sure I should respond because my friend Mwaura sounds very bitter. I'm not quite sure why. And I suspect that if I respond more, he might even now take time to walk to the studio and beat me up. So I'm even glad that he did not come personally because the tone and tonation sound threatening. You know, these are just debates.
Please don't
you keep them here at this level. Don't take them too much. So I must have touched somewhere that is very personal to my friend Isaac Mwaura. You know, but to be fair to Isaac Mwaura, and I've told him this, you know, but it does not reduce from what I've said. Quite honestly, a lot of people are nominated to parliament for different reasons. And there are those who are nominated to represent women, people with disability and all. One of the few people who have done work for people with disability in this country is Isaac Mwaura, despite being nominated in Jubilee or even earlier when he was nominated in ODM. And that is a fact. But my brother, Isaac Mwaura, that has nothing to do with the principal issue. The simple principal issue is, how do you see somebody as a nationalist when they're nominating you, then immediately thereafter you now discover there are dynasties that should not lead? I mean, that's a contradiction. Correct. It's just as simple as that. Let's come back to this question of rotational presidency. You know, I don't want us to use that word rotational presidency because that's not even what the president said. The president said that he may as well say that the president cannot be dominated by two ethnicities forever. He did not say it must rotate. Let me explain this. Do you know the importance of, I think the proper word to use is appropriation of the presidency by two ethnicities. Yeah, that is what should not happen. And when we were writing the Constitution, we were consciously aware of this. And we actually toyed with the idea of using a rotational presidency, the way they do in Switzerland, where you say this region or this tribe will be, president like this, like that. The reason we could not adopt it, and it still cannot be adopted now, is because Kenyans cannot even agree on how many ethnicities there are. Right now, Dr. Luale and my brother Edwin Sifuna will say, we as the Luya nation. But then now, if you were to introduce the presidency, Halwale will not be talking as a Luya. He will probably say Amisuha. So if Mudavadi went, I think Mudavadi is from Maragoli. Is from Maragoli. He said that was the Maragoli. Now it will be the Isuha. So the more you go, even among the Kikuyu, you will now find that there are many. In fact, they tell you the people of Murang'a are different from the people of Kiambu. Even the language is slightly different. So you cannot agree. What we should do, which is what the president said, and I agree with him completely, is that to appropriate certain positions, and this is not just at the national level, this is even at the county level, to appropriate certain positions for certain ethnicities or certain clans and dominate is not good for national unity. And there's a constitutional basis. Let me demonstrate. First of all, because we were conscious of that, when you look right from the preamble to the Constitution, you will see that the preamble appreciates the ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity of this country. Why does the Constitution go to those lengths? When you come to Article 4, you will see that the Constitution talks of a multi-party and elsewhere the multi-ethnic nature of this country. When you come to Article 10, it talks of fostering national unity, promoting, and mark these words, sharing and devolution of power. People understand devolution because of the county. They have not stopped to understand the idea of sharing of power. When you then come to the role of the president is said to be the symbol of national unity.
Yeah.
You cannot have one symbol of national unity for 60 years representing two ethnicities. Correct. So there's a constitutional basis for what the president said. Now, it can be convenient for those who want us to forget to say, no, 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 no. When you talk of those ethnicities, then you're becoming tribal. That's nonsense. It is a subterfuge because they do not want us to address it, okay? You could be the best, but it can't be that the best can always come only from one place. You know, way back in the year 2000, I was the Secretary General of the East African Law Society. That's 20 years ago. We had a meeting in Entebbe, and I was seated next to President Museveni, and then there was the president of the ELS and all that. And we asked the question, you have now been president for 14 years. That was since 1986. Yeah. Don't you think it is time to leave it to any other person? President Museveni said then, and he probably still say today now that they're holding elections, that he had looked across Uganda, but he could not find anyone with the vision for Uganda. 36 years later, President Museveni is still looking for somebody with the vision for Uganda. You cannot say that the only people with vision can only come from certain ethnicities. I am sure that when you broaden the thinking, then it becomes much more broader. But the real thing, this is the last thing. Let's not debate this thing too much. Let us not debate why, Jubilee, there's a difference between the DP and the president. Now they are in UDA. Isaac Mwaura will tell us whether he's also joined UDA and what that means legally. But what is the real issue? The real issue is what Isaac Mwaura spoke about. That the deputy president expected the president to declare that my candidate for 2022 is William Samoei Ruto. His entire beef, and those who are with him, is that the president did not make that declaration, and instead made a declaration that opens the door wider. That is the real issue.
Hello, Ale. I want us to wind up on this rotation of presidency they talked
Trevor,
about.
Kenyans are very lucky. In this debate this morning, we are very highly educated people. And my brothers, you know for a fact that tribalism is improper. Tribalism is immoral. But if purely because of convenience, you are embracing it, that is what we call in political science, political expediency. Sifuna, you should be the one championing discouragement of that kind of talk, because you are not a Luo. You are a lawyer and you're supporting a Luo. I am not a Kalenjin, I am supporting a Kalenjin. We should be the ones telling these people that you are making our politics difficult. Me, Sifuna, I'm not supporting Wetangula Mudavadi. I am aware that Raila is a Luo. Let me tell you, this thing of political expediency, if Raila was a woman today, this highly educated man, my own brother, Amolo here, would be saying that it is time a woman became a president. If Raila was a woman. So the real reason for this support of something improper, immoral called tribalism is because they are trying anything that can help Raila to become president. There's no other reason. Raila has demonstrated that he is unable to win the presidency. He's been given an opportunity to win 4 times. He's unable. So, hold that conversation with Sifuna here, plus Georgia Luoda and my brother Wanyonyi. You tell them, let us present Sifuna or Wanyonyi as a candidate of ODM. Raila is unable to win. Don't blame the tribe. It is important, Trevor, that on this talk, we must condemn that thing called tribalism. It is so bad that even my younger brother, Sifuna, is today calling the president of Kenya the leader of Mount Kenya. You've said it.
I am not the one who crowned him.
They can play it back.
He was crowned by his own community.
Yes, that attempt to call the president of Kenya, the leader of Mount Kenya, you are assuming he became president courtesy the votes of Mount Kenya.
He did.
No. Wait, he became president because of the votes he got in Mount Kenya, in Rift Valley, and including Kandui, where you come from. If you Google now, you'll see the votes he got.
Okay.
Okay, Trevor.
Yeah,
I don't know where Khalwale actually gets the strength to lectures on political expediency, because Khalwale, I know you. We have walked this political journey together.
Yeah.
If there is anyone who has sacrificed their own moral standing for political expediency, it should be you. You are the one who very impressionably explained to us that William Ruto was not somebody who should be allowed anywhere near political office, and you gave reasons, and I have alluded to it when you were talking about the issue of corruption. Corruption is immoral. Corruption is improper. But you have chosen to support somebody whose name keeps coming up because of political expediency. So you cannot sit there and lecture us. Trevor,
Yeah.
this issue of shared prosperity that my senior has alluded to, the history of this country has always been a history of affirmative action to correct marginalization and the feeling that people have been left out of the state that is, or the nation that is Kenya. Yeah. We came up with the Equalization Fund because we agreed as Kenyans that we do not believe that other areas have developed at the same pace as the rest of the country. We came up with the nomination for persons with disabilities like Honorable Mwaura. It is a result of affirmative action, because we agreed as a country that they have been traditionally left out of political space. Yeah. We came up with affirmative action to make sure that there is greater inclusion of women in political affairs, because we realize that traditionally they have been left out. Okay. Even this discussion about allowing more people to come to the table, that is the presidency, is a discussion of affirmative action. And really what is good for the goose must be good for the gander. If Mwaura really celebrates this affirmative action, and the women of this country celebrate the affirmative action that we need to include everyone in decision making of this country, then even this current discussion is a discussion on affirmative action. If he says, Mwaura says that we are trying to create a structure that is dominated by 5, I would very easily, readily accept to be dominated by 5 than 2, because it is bigger. 5 is bigger than 2. Okay. So if indeed there has been a problem with the 2, a move to 5 is a move towards the right direction. And I believe, personally, that the discussion we are having is to come to a place, and Khalwale has pointed it out. Khalwale, in my history of voting, I have never voted for a lawyer. And it is because, this is what we are saying, we must appreciate, like I have appreciated, that the best must not necessarily come from where I was born. Amen. That the truth of the matter is that just the fact that we were born together, if you are a thief, I must call you a thief even if you're my brother. If you are not capable of doing the job that is on the table, I should be able to point it out. What we are saying then is, can we all agree that the best is not a preserve of 2? That it is possible for us to get somebody with the solutions to this country from elsewhere. Where that elsewhere will be, we can discuss.
All right. It seems you're not going to agree on this issue. Let me bring in Mwaura, and now let's shift gears on something else now. The Daily Nation, and I just want to get your brief remarks on this as we wind up. Kangata outwits Uhuru's power men, that's what they say. There's a letter from Mount Kenya, from Kangata, not from Mount Kenya, saying that the BBI is unpopular. And you had mentioned it also, that the BBI is very unpopular on the ground. What is the basis of that statement that you made?
I think, Trevor, it's always fair for me to answer Otiende before I come to that question.
You and Otiende will go back and forth for the entire show.
I avoided saying it.
Okay, go ahead.
Because he wants to address himself to a matter very ironically. When William Ruto supported Raila in 2007, that was nationalism. When William Ruto supported a Kikuyu president, if you call him that way, Uhuru Kenyatta, that was tribalism. When Kikuyu say they want to support William Ruto, now that is tribalism, and that the presidency should be rotation and it should start with the Luos. I mean, what kind of irony is that? I mean, what kind of hypocrisy is that? And that's why we are really calling you out, because you want to imagine that you are the ones who stand on principle. There are no principles there. It's just shifting a game of musical chairs. you suited when Gilu was accused of corruption. I mean, Raila Odinga is the one who stood to support him. Now today you are telling us William Ruto is corrupt. How our party nomination certificates are issued by people like Sifuna in that ODM party? I've been part of that party. So if we want to go that direction, I think we can deconstruct each other. But let me leave it to that level. Let me come to the issue of Kangata. I think Kangata has said the truth. He's my brother. And I think he needs... There are presidents who are trying to lie to him of what is happening on the ground. People are very unhappy and when they see BBI, they don't see even the content. In fact, many people have not even read the BBI, Trevor. What they see is Raila Odinga being pushed into the presidency to the disadvantage of William Ruto, who is their choice candidate. And I can tell you out of 10 people, 8 are with William Ruto. So the BBI is not so much about the content. It's like how you sell tea. It's how it is packaged, who is selling it. The messenger is as good as the message. So, and the product is as good as the process. So people are actually reacting to this, and it is very, very, very unfair to ask Kangata to retract because they spoke the truth. And the problem with Jubilee, and you will come to realize, those of you who are now the biggest, supporters of Jubilee, yet you're actually from other political parties, and you're telling the deputy president to resign, and yet you have infiltrated our party, is that it's a top-bottom approach. There are people who are there who think like they just bulldoze and push through their throat whatever they have decided. People want a bottom-up approach, and that is actually Haslanomics. That is Wilbaronomics. People listen to others. It's not like you are there like a king and you issue orders and then the people follow. That is what has killed Jubilee, as it were. And I think Dr. Boni Khalwale spoke very well and said, Jubilee administratively has the Murathe and Tujus. But Jubilee, the people, are actually elsewhere. Because they have not been shown not to have a space. And somebody of the caliber of the majority whip in the Senate, not having an opportunity to actually express himself, and in the process, Trevor, having to write a letter. That is how worse things have broken down in Jubilee. And I can tell you, it cannot be any worse because people wait for things to happen. Somehow they're supposed to be an autopilot. So basically, I'm happy for my brother because he was being forced to do what he does not believe in. And I could see that. But then, and actually the presser yesterday at Jubilee House was supposed to make him to surrender. And that's not how you do things. Consult with people, let them air their views. The last time we had a PG meeting of Jubilee, I don't remember when. And when it happens, people are not even allowed to speak. That is not the democracy we believe in. All right.
Honorable Tiende, are you concerned when you see such letters from Honorable Kangata, or are you simply burying your heads in the sand with this BBI push?
First, to my brother Isaac Mwaura. I know Isaac Mwaura does not smoke. But I suspect somebody smoked something lethal close to him overnight. Because I avoided speaking to him, then he's still taking me on. Two things. He has now repeated twice that I'm advocating for a Luo to be president. Since I came here, I have not uttered those words. Him and Don Boni Khalwale have mentioned the name of Raila 23 times since we started. I have not mentioned that name today. So I don't want to say who may have smoked close to Isaac Mwaura, but I will just leave that one at that. Only two other issues. One, there's an issue there that has been mentioned and it keeps being mentioned, that BBI is not popular, BBI is a way of pushing Raila to the presidency. I mean, how illogical and stupid can this argument be? And allow me to just say that. Listen, we have the presidency since 1963, the position of president. We have it now. Whether BBI passes or not, it will still be there. If Raila wants to just be president or is being pushed to be president, what's easier than to push him with the constitution as it is today?
Correct.
Why not? And if it was just a matter of selling to the Kikuyus Raila, then all the president would do would be to nominate somebody from the Kikuyu land to be the deputy Raila. But that's the point that both Raila and the president are trying to fight. The idea of us having two seats, which are all powerful and which then dominate, and the sense that those who do not vote for you are excluded for 5 years. That's what BBI is about. So this nonsense of even learned and serious people saying this is about Raila presidency is so idiotic, and I must just call it that. Secondly, this issue of my brother Kangata is not an issue I wish to speak too much, because as we are in a situation what we call cessation of hostilities, we pulled back and restrained ourselves from very legitimate causes and decided that let us try and see, even if our issues are not immediately resolved now, let them be resolved for future generations. And that is the idea of the BBI. That is why even the idea of the, the movement that we had, we pulled back. Now, we are not in Jubilee. There is nobody from ODM who has joined Jubilee. If there is, you tell me. In fact, it's people like Dr. Boni Halwale who went and joined Jubilee. Even in terms of the formality, only Wiper signed some agreement with Jubilee. We haven't signed anything. So when Jubilee implodes, they must own up to their own implosion. Maybe it's like Boni Halwale is the one who joined. He might know. Yeah. Maybe they're the cause of the implosion. As we are out here, we cannot be blamed for anything. Okay? So when, therefore, my brother Kangata chooses to write, those are Jubilee issues. The only thing I can say on it is this. Yeah. If you are the chief whip of a major formation and you are actually in the Senate at a time, at a constitutional moment when you are supposed to be pushing certain issues on behalf of the party, and you come to the conclusion that either because of internal issues or external issues or both, you are unable to do that, and you choose to express it in writing as he did, it means two things. One, it means either you do not have internal channels or you've chosen not to use those internal channels. Yeah. Either way, it means you are unable to execute your role as the chief whip. And what you should do is tell the party that gave you that role, since I can't execute it, take it. Yeah. That is my only comment.
But away from the process, the content.
As I told you, the content is an internal matter. That one, only Halwale and Mwaura, before they ran away, could talk about it. Okay. Otherwise, for us, from where we are concerned, we are partners in the BBI. We have not had any similar issues in our ODM context. We are quite solid. We are pushing the BBI agenda for the betterment of this country.
Okay. Halwale.
The few people who are supporting BBI must know that the only thing driving the handshakers is a desire to graft an instrument that will afford them an opportunity to win the presidency. End of story. What Kangata found in Mount Kenya, at the same opinion poll that helped us to identify our candidate, we also tested BBI in Matungu and in Kapchai. In Matungu, BBI was not one of the top 5 desired needs of the people. The top one, by polling, was unemployment. Was cost of living, which polled at 34. BBI in Matungu, only 36% of the people said they support BBI. The same opinion poll in Matungu reported that the deputy president is 38% popular, followed by Raila Odinga at 18%. We are not fools. Since you respect your education, respect mine. I'm not pedestrian. Yeah? If the people of BBI truly believes in rotating the presidency, and what you guys are telling Kenyans is a constitutional moment today, why haven't you included in BBI the provision that the presidency should be rotational? You must stop shifting goalposts. You might be popular, you might be powerful, you might be rich, but those of us in the hustler side, we care about the downtrodden. Sifuna, this thing of tribalism that then goes down to the families and nepotism. Don't you people realize that in ODM and Wiper, that is the practice? If it is not, how come Kalonzo's son is the one who qualified to become an MP in Yala? How come Raila's brother, 80 years plus, is the one who qualified to be an MP in Yala? In fact, Omolo, you should apologize to Mwaura.
It's Amolo.
Sorry, Amolo. Sorry. Amolo, my brother, sorry. Amolo, you should apologize to Mwaura. Mwaura at least represents a marginalized group called people living with disabilities. When you played affirmative action on Raila's brother called Oburu, he represents which group? And then you keep on lecturing us about Western corruption and whatnot. Haven't you had the opportunity to ask Raila how he acquired Kisumu molasses plant? If you must talk about corruption, as you people say in law, those who come for justice must do so with clean hands.
Okay.
Okay.
In conclusion.
Yes.
Just two things. First of all,
the guy is taking my mouth.
to Honorable Mwaura, who keeps repeating this thing, and I've heard it many times before we came into Jubilee, and that is the cause of all their problems. The party leader of Jubilee, who's President Uhuru Kenyatta, has told us the genesis of the problems in Jubilee. When he spoke at Bomas, he was very clear that, in fact, his deputy, instead of waiting at the end there in a relay race, he started running backwards to essentially come and grab the baton from him. That is the genesis of the problems in the Jubilee. And I will repeat again, the Swahili say, habari za baharini unamuuliza papa.
Yes.
If the party leader of Jubilee has given you what the cause of the problem is, then people like Mwaura should not waste our time here saying that they want to attribute the problems in Jubilee to ODM. Number two, on the issue of the BBI, I want to concede here that it is possible that there is a lot of resentment against this process on the ground, and there's a reason. Because all that the people on the ground know about BBI is the negativity and the lies that have been spread about the process, including some that have been repeated here by Honorable Mwaura, that somehow this process is about bringing Raila to the presidency. Now, if you ask Honorable Mwaura, and to some extent Khalwale, because Khalwale is asking me that where is the clause that says the presidency should be rotational? In the BBI document, which is this clause that once passed and implemented will guarantee that Raila becomes president? There is no such clause. We believe that Raila Odinga does not need to hide behind any process. This is a person who has built a political movement from way back. That in fact, when he declares he has a political party that has the best grassroots networks, if Raila wants to run for president, he will announce that I want to run for president, and he doesn't need to hide behind processes such as the BBI. We believe, as the proponents of BBI, that this document that was released in December, we have not had opportunity, and Otiende will agree, to actually explain to the people what the contents of that document is, so that the misinformation from the cesspit that is Tanga is what is on the ground. If you soil the ground the way Sonko did with Jacaranda grounds with human waste, then if you go there, all you will find is human waste. This is what these people have done, and we believe that we will have opportunity, and I have seen it myself, Trevor. During the December holidays, I sit down in my humble abode in Siaka village, and I explain to people with the document in front of them. If Khalwale is saying that the greatest concern of the people of Matungu right now is cost of living, yes, it is a fact that cost of living and unemployment is a problem across the country. Then you have to explain to them that there is a reason they are in that place and there is a solution. When he says that they care about the poor people, if you look at all the Jubilee scandals, they were stealing from those same people. The money that was stolen from the Ministry of Health, the money that was stolen in Kimaro and Arer, those projects were going to benefit the people of Kimaro and Arer. And that in fact, there was going to be employment opportunities resulting from those projects had they been implemented. And then you see, Khalwale, if the deputy president was coming to the young people of Elgeyo Marakwet, having built this wonderful dam, and he is donating boats for them to do tourism on the dam is there, then you would actually give him credit. But if you are coming to tell people that here is a wheelbarrow and yet you have stolen from them 10 million, you give them 1 million, that is not economics, what we call wheelbarrow economics. It is possible for me to explain to the people of Matungu how the BBI is going to address the cost of living when I'm telling the young people that there is opportunity for your businesses to thrive absent of taxation, because they know if you ask these people in Bama or in other markets here in Nairobi, in Karioko, and the other places, the fact that you set up a stall today and you have to get 8 licenses, and the Kanjo is already on your back demanding for you to pay money for, for whatever rates and levies they have, it is a problem, it is an inhibition for people to get into business. So if we explain to them that you are actually under the BBI, you have opportunity for us to be able to create an environment for your business to grow and to thrive, you will understand that it affects unemployment, it affects cost of living. If you go and ask the people on the ground, they will tell you that devolution is the best idea. That if you strengthen devolution has, driven a lot of enterprise in the counties. There used to be a time in Western Kenya where if your friends were visiting you and you didn't have enough space in your home, you couldn't find a decent hotel for them to sleep. Okay. Look at the development in Kakamega. I am sure that even in your neighborhood, Khalwal, you have put up fantastic hospitality, joints that were non-existent, because right now, at least there is money that is circulating on the ground. So if you are telling me that the people of Malinya will say no to an increase of the amount of money that is coming in terms of development to the counties, and the Article 43 rights that have been guaranteed under the Ward Fund, then you are using the wrong scientific methods to measure. Okay. So, Trevor, let us get to a place where we have the same opportunity that our brothers from the cesspit of Tanga have had to soil the ground, to explain and to clean all these notions about CU 2022, then you can take a measure of the popularity of it.
Please let him explain. Let him explain to us. Excuse me. Just a minute.
It goes round.
Let the president.
You guys will have a chance.
I want him to explain.
Let the president.
I'll give you guys a chance for closing remarks, starting with Mwaura.
I wanted him to explain.
We'll ask you if you want to explain your closing remarks, Mwaura. Just 1 minute, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see now, you see Otiende was talking about me, how I was speaking. Now he ended up speaking the same way. Let me say this. Politics is not for the perfect. It's about finding relevance in those imperfections and impacting many for the betterment of society. I don't think you can really say from either side where you're speaking to that there is one side that is perfect and the other is imperfect. We are there, we are in the arena, and unfortunately, the logic that I hear my brother Edwin Sifuna and Otiende Amolo speak very well sometimes does not really apply to politics. It has been sold, it has not worked. Please check what really is on the ground. Don't lie to yourself. The Rutonomics, Rutonated Hustler Nation is real on the ground. And by the way, people need to address the real problems that are affecting the people. Like now, Mwiki Primary School, I was there, is the biggest public school in Ruiru, 3,500 people, they have no land. We are pushing for the government to buy 9 acres of land so that the children may not be congested as it were. Those are the solutions that people need, and we must voice them. Otherwise, I think this has been a good debate, but I do not agree that the president should be rotational.
All right. Otiende, closing remarks. In fact, there's a question here that if Otiende's argument is valid for constitutional basis, why should the Constitution talks about election being based on universal suffrage?
That's the point. The president did not say, and we are not saying, that we are appointing somebody to the presidency. The presidency will still be elective, but we are giving reasons why it is now time to consider others so that it is decentralized and the sharing of power. So it's not an appropriation by two ethnicities. Okay. That is the whole point. And I already answered what Dr. Halwale asked. Why are we not having that clause in the BBI now? I told you that we even considered it then. You cannot have a positive clause that says the presidency will be rotational. But so what the Constitution does is to encourage a situation where it is rotational, and I referred you to all the clauses which suffice. Just 2 things. One, Dr. Halwale said something earlier which may have escaped the viewers, but I think they need to listen to it carefully. He said there's the politically active wing of Jubilee, and that's where they are, which now can go by names like Hustler, Tanga Tanga, UDA, and others. Then there's the administratively active wing of Jubilee, which is where Raphael Tuju and others are. You know, when he says politically active wing, it means money. That's all it means. Money at the top. And I'm saying this because even my colleagues in parliament own up to this. The reason they associate there is because they get stipends. And I'm not putting it beyond anyone who associates there to be getting stipends. And that the stipends they get is what keeps them politically active, and that's what Edwin Sifuna was saying, that we have not taken time, all of us in BBI, to explain BBI. And you know, it's also a very funny contradiction. Because they say they do not support BBI. And yet their leader says he supports BBI. So they can't make up their mind. And even for us, we don't know whether to treat them as adversaries or collaborators. And that's part of the problem. But I think the time has come for us to get down to that. Two last things. One, you know, and Dr. Boni Halwale has said this, I think, 17 times for the various times we've been with him on the shows. Whenever he wants to attack Raila Amolo Odinga, he goes to molasses. And he never substantiates because there's nothing. No, wait. Next time I want you to sit down and substantiate, okay? Because he thinks that it's a cheap thing to throw there. Let me tell you two very simple things. First, Raila has never been accused to have stolen any money and then used it to buy the molasses, okay? And it's not Raila, it's a family thing. And the only people who contributed some money voluntarily, and I was there, there are few people who voluntarily, because the land was going to be bought by Biwott and his ilk. And we said, that's the only thing we have in this part. It cannot go. So once the family raised money from Spectre International in South Africa, and I did some of the transactions. It was a loan, actually. That's why even the molasses is not operating now. A few Luos voluntarily donated. And Halwale was not one of them, so you have no business to cry. Pilipili usiyoila inakuashaje. Dr. Halwale, please don't start bringing families when it comes to appointments. You talk of Dr. Buroginga. Yeah. Dr. Buroginga was at least voted on by Parliament, including your side in the Jubilee. No one raised any objection. Okay? Yeah. And this is a seasoned politician who has been elected severally, and one of the senior most in the East African Legislative Assembly, at least adds value. I want you to go back and look at the sides that were brought by your leaders, even in the East African Legislative Assembly. Okay. I will say no more on that. But secondly, your leader caused appointment of his youngest daughter, a very young girl of 24, June Ruto, to be the charge of the affairs in Poland, an appointive position. Who gets to be a charge of the affairs at the age of 24? And you are here lecturing us about families, appointing others. If I were you, I would not go there. All I will say to Kenyans is this. One is that this is my first time now this year to attend this show, so I wish everybody a happy new year. And secondly, because Uganda is doing the elections today, and there's some fair amount of tension, and we all know Uganda is a very close trading partner, and anything that affects us also affects them, then affects us. Let us pray for credible, legitimate elections in Uganda without any form of violence. All right. Thank you.
Halwale, 1 minute closing remark.
Oh, you gave him 20 minutes for closing remarks.
Politicians and contests. I mean, it's
no, I just wanted to straighten the record. That's why I was pushing Edwin. Edwin, since you will not respond to this, let me just educate you.
I have to respond.
Let me educate you on this one.
Yes.
The Office of the Deputy President of Kenya, under the operationalization of the functions of government, does not do procurement on projects. Kimmerer was a project that was executed by the National Treasury. And therefore, if there are challenges of procurement, don't blame the Deputy President. And I want to thank the Director of Public Prosecutions. He made it very, very clear. The second and last point is to the Secretary General of ODM. You owe the people of Trans Nzoia, the people of Bungoma, people of Kakamega, Busia and Vihiga, and a section of Nairobi who are inhabited by a particular community that you know, for having all along told them that you wanted them to vote for a president when you wanted to vote for a tribal chief.
Why did I say
They
that?
did not know that by voting for Raila, they were giving the Luos an opportunity to rule the country. They thought they were voting for a president of Kenya. So this thing of tribalism and election, move away from it.
All right.
I was there. You were not there. In 2007, let me tell you, it was not a joke. That thing of 41 against 1 or whatever they called it, let me tell you, My car was torched.
Okay.
I was airlifted by President Kibaki because I had won against ODM. It is not a joke. Don't go there.
Okay.
Trevor,
Sifuna, 1 minute. Yes.
I am telling you, we understand the discomfort from our brothers about whenever this discussion is going to come up. They were running all over the place saying, oh, we do not want to have the discussion about the small person. Every single discussion, Boni Khalwale, will be had. Every single place that needs to go, we need to go to so that we heal this nation, we will go to. We know why you are afraid about this discussion, but I am telling you, Trevor, we honestly don't have a problem with discussing the real issues of this country. Okay. You might pretend all you want to pretend, but we know that perception is critical if we are going to bring together this country. And the perception now is that we can look for merit across the country. When I said that I had never voted for Aluya in all the elections I've participated in, I voted for Kibaki for the first time, knowing full well that Kibaki was a Kikuyu, but we believed that he was the best person on the ticket at that time to lead this country. Yeah. I have voted for Raila Odinga twice, and even the people of Western Kenya that he talks about, nobody sat them down and told them to support Raila. People will follow you depending on who you are, what you stand for, over a very long period of time. Okay. It is possible that there would be other brothers of ours who would be interested in the seat, but they simply have not been able to earn the support of the people. We know that our brothers have had a head start in explaining things because for the past 3 years, the discussion between the president and my party leader has been that it is not time to politic. Yeah. You will see them panic when the dance floor that they occupied on their own now has other dancers as well. So we will meet on the ground, Khalwale.
Okay.
And I am sure we will have a good time.
We have to leave it there for now.
Like we met in Msambweni.
We
met in Kibra. We met in Msambweni.
Guys, we have to leave it there now. Tenda Mbolo, MP Rarieda, Honorable Isaac Mwaura, nominated Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale, former Senator Kakamega, and Edwin Sifuna, Secretary General ODM. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning on State of the Nation. We do that here every Thursday. For now, we are crossing over to Waiga Mwaura, who's standing by in Uganda with the latest in the elections. They are going to the polls today, 18 million of them, 34,000 polling stations. We are back with him right after this break.